Get going.
If you're open, you're live now.
We are live now. So thank you, everybody. This is calling to order the meeting of Thursday, special meeting Thursday, October 7th. It is 7:15 p.m. So we'll start with a roll call to see who is here. Denise Brown.
Here.
Alan Dutton.
Yeah.
Carl Dickens. We know he's here. Let the record show Carl is here, but he's on mute.
Unmuted in here. Sorry.
Yeah, you muted in here. Jennifer McAllister.
I'm here.
Rayanne Bromark.
I'm here.
Bar Sheikh
Here.
is here, and Joe Andrasco.
Hi.
He's here, and TJ Trimboli. He had said he had a prior engagement, so he could not make it. So we have 8 people in the for quorum. It is not on the agenda. It should have been, but if there is any public comment, do we have anybody?
We only have one person dialed in. If you'd like to speak by phone, raise your hand electronically by hitting, I believe it's *9 on your phone, and that will raise your hand electronically. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Give it a few seconds here. All right. So public comment is closed. All right. So item 2, the real reason we were calling this together. Jim, want to just chat a little bit about the repair work that needs to be done on 6?
Sure. During Ida, the tropical storm, a 225-foot section of cart path got pretty badly damaged. We spent the whole next day cleaning it out, putting asphalt millings back in so it was passable for carts. So I got a price from a guy that isn't doing the contract coming up. It was $14,000. And then I got a price from Deering. It was $17,000. But if they said that if they could do it while they're here, it will be the same price per linear foot as the rest of it. And that's going to be $34.50 per foot. It's 225 linear feet, and that comes to $7,762.50. There's also a section of the Stonehouse driveway that if we don't do anything about it, it's going to end up like a 6-cart path with another big rainstorm. So far, we've done all right, but it's pretty bad, and more damage is inevitable unless it gets a quick repair, and that is $4,500.
Does anybody have any questions for Jim?
So Jim showed me the actual stone area down there. It's like a huge pothole. In my opinion, it definitely needs to get done. And obviously now's the time to do it while we get a cheap price. So I think we should do that.
Agreed. And it's such good timing on us that we already have, work being done there, because we're saving some money on mobilization and that stuff.
Now, just so you guys know, I spoke to Mike Deering today, and it sounds like he'll be the foreman on the job. And he said with the weather, of course, that they are backed up, and that the earliest we can expect them to start work is the 3rd week of October. But he assured me we'll get it done. We'll get it done. So if you have questions about the start time, hopefully I just answered that for you.
So he's going to start later because he's backed up on work. He guarantees that it's going to get done, right?
That's what he said.
Right. But what happens in the event that it doesn't get done?
I posed that question to him also, and he did not respond. I did that in an email, and he did not respond. So I'm going to have to do that again. I should have done that in person on the phone.
Yeah, that would just because if we end up having to stop the work and then resuming, and it's going to cost us more money because of all those other clauses, this isn't our fault. This is their on their side.
Well, I'm gonna have to kind of agree, but at the same time, I mean, delays due to weather, it's a standard in their business, and I don't think that it matters to them. I think if they have to come back after the winter, I can't imagine a reason why they would need to take their equipment away other than to service, and winter is probably the time that they do service their equipment, so.
Jim, I don't want to belabor the point, and I don't have a copy of the contract, but aren't there clauses in the contract about that very thing, which Jennifer's questions are very good, about whether it's weather or delayed or this or that, those kind of things?
There is a line that, let me find it here, hang on.
Now, you actually mentioned it in one of our meetings. I can't remember what you called it, but it kind of covered what we're talking about, but maybe you recall.
Any work that is to be carried over to the following year shall be subject to renegotiation of price prior to the resumption of the contract work.
Yeah, I
But
knew there was something like that.
He's giving me every confidence that they're gonna get it done, and I mean, I think that's great. That is all they're doing, whereas when we had the golf course contractor here, they were doing multiple things on the golf course and trying to get stuff done, and I mean, they were obviously leaving their equipment so that if by chance weather broke and they could get stuff done, they didn't have to remobilize. But
So my take on this is if there's a weather incident when they start work, that's different from them starting work later than they need to because they're backed up. That's not our problem, basically, from what I see.
Right.
Right.
But I think to Jennifer's point, if all of a sudden they're not getting started because of weather, which is out of our control and theirs, I don't know how we would protect ourselves a little bit. I mean, the thing that makes me nervous is that the whole thing is negated and renegotiated in January or February or March, if that's when they had to come back to do it, and the price could go up considerably, maybe. I don't know.
I don't either.
That's my fear. We're losing time because they're backed up due to their situation. So we're already, what, 2 weeks behind the 8 ball? And if something happens, I just don't want I don't want the project to go into next year and then everything gets renegotiated.
Right.
They started 2 weeks later than they should have, right? They're supposed to start at the beginning of October, correct?
Yes, October 12th. And I don't have an answer for any of you on this stuff because
Well, Jim, the cost is going to be the remobilizing, the cost of
Yeah.
the product. And they shouldn't hit us any for the cost of the product and stuff like that. It's, what would it cost for them to remobilize? That's what the number is, I believe.
But I think that still falls under Jennifer's thing. They're already behind because they're backed up. But when it gets
Yeah.
back into October, if they all of a sudden get backed up, we've all had it happen with contractors at your house when you start a project and
Yeah.
4 years later, they finally show up.
Just to chime in, I think we should have, this could be a longer discussion at the regular scheduled meeting. I think we can we agree that we're going to move forward with this additional work? Because I think we're
Yes.
talking about the
Yes.
project in general, which can be part
Agreed.
of the
No,
superintendent.
you're right,
appointment.
Mike. You're right.
agreed.
So-
And we have 2 weeks to talk to Deering further about this.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for this instance, we're just voting to approve the repairs. And then I do think, during your superintendent report, I think if you can provide an update on these questions, they're all great questions. I think it
Sure.
would be good.
Sure.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the repairs?
This is for the repair on six fairway cart path.
Cart path, yep.
Yeah,
And-
I'll make a motion that
In
we,
the Stonehouse driveway.
I'll make a motion that we put that as, and move forward with the work to repair that in, I guess, under the guise that it's an emergency situation that needs to be fixed and the expenditures will be approved in this vote.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Rayanne seconds. Everyone that approves signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes?
I don't even know, am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure.
Okay,
all
do
friends
we
here.
have 7762 for the repairs on 6? And then
Yes.
you mentioned the extra 45 for a total of 12,000. So are we voting on the 12,000 or just the 77?
My understanding is we're voting on the full 12,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that was my understanding.
okay, all right.
Got
I-
it. Good question though. Good
I-
question.
I just want to confirm the exact number we're voting on.
That's right, Jim, isn't it? The full 12,000, that's the number?
12,262.
Yeah.
Can
Barbara
I,
knows.
can I ask another question or kind of change the motion a little bit? Can we bring it up to like 14,000 in case something like goes wrong, to give us a little cushion that they can do it up to like 14,000?
Jim, did they put any contingency in their quote? Do you know?
Nothing that I know of. I know that
We have
We did.
contingency in their overall.
we had
Project.
budget. I don't remember what we voted for initially in the time that we
Oh, it was
approved the big
123,000.
project, but we had budgeted 170 for this.
Right.
And we
So,
are,
so this 12,000 is definitely within the 177 with the one.
it brings it to
Well, it takes us
140.
145. Gives us 25 contingency as it is, so.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we may be okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
Well,
no,
wasn't
good
the
point.
overall number for the whole cart path will come in at 128?
Yes, 128 plus
Okay, good.
12, 262. I
Sorry,
think.
130, okay, good, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this, we're still at 140 and still under budget.
okay.
I just get nervous about telling somebody there's an extra couple thousand around if you need to use it. Well,
Yeah,
I'll
that-
use
that's
it.
what
Oh, I
that's
need
why I
to
was
get-
thinking, let's not add the contingency.
No,
Right.
I need to use it.
So Jim, I have one more
Jim will-
question.
Jim will take it all.
And Jim's the one I was talking about, by the way. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to add an extra $2,000 or whatever for a contingency. No
No,
offense to
and-
anybody, but I think we vote on the 12,000 that Jim talked about, Jennifer talked about, and put that to bed.
Okay,
I just have one more question.
Yep.
So the added on for number 6, the whole number 6, that's going to be included in having it completed in their contract. Because it's an extra amount of work for them, that's still part of them telling you they're going to get it done as the original contract.
That's what he told me today and over the phone.
Yeah, I think between now that we've approved the funding, we go and we
Right,
will
the
have Randy
agreement.
take a look at it. It'll be issued as a change order, I would assume.
Yeah.
An out of scope change order, and there's probably already language in there, but good question. But yeah, I mean, you and I could talk, Jim, about how we execute that.
Okay.
I would just suggest, Jim, you send to him a email or something written for our conversation, so it's written down, not on a phone call basis.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, you and Mike can talk about it, and I can sign off on it, you can sign off on it, and then we'd be good to go, I would think.
Okay.
Cool. So any no's? Any abstentions? All right, so that passes unanimously. Thank you for
you.
your hard work on this, Jim.
Thanks,
Yep.
Jim.
All right, moving on to item number 3, vote to approve the application for a text change to zoning regarding the restaurant. I spoke to everyone individually on it because the wording is confusing, but I also shared with you the actual application. Just take a step back on the process. So it has to go through several stages. So we all need to vote on it. We did apply, but it's only at the stage of them looking at the application and saying, yes, this is a real application. You filled it out properly. So we'll have several, different steps, but essentially what we're asking for, the zoning regulations were in place. They're pretty antiquated, and they were very specific to Oak Hills about the length of the bar. There was a couple different things. There was the 20%. So the bar could not exceed 20% of the total restaurant. Anybody that's been there and has seen it, it doesn't exceed 20% of the restaurant. And then the length of the bar was 15 feet. So by filing this allows us to build a bar that is larger than 15 feet. I think Alan can speak to it, but essentially the front of the bar is 19 feet. Then you have a service area, which is non-seatable. And then you have kind of the elbow there, which essentially this will add 2 or 3 seats. But, this came from when we started talking about the renovations of the restaurant, what golfers and residents were telling us, even folks on the nature side, what they wanted was a real restaurant with a bar they can go and they can have a drink. And so that's what this is doing. And this is the process that we just need to go through. So I guess anybody want to add anything? I don't know, Alan or Carl, if you want to add anything, did I cover that properly? I know, Alan, you know this stuff a little bit better than me. That sound.
Sure, it says on the application 29 feet, but the actual 29 feet. The actual front of the bar is 19 feet, which is, nine stools. The right of the bar, as you look at it, is the service area. So there's no stools there. And I know we've spoken on the left-hand side, Mike, and possibly making that into an ADA component. And I think Don was having some work done not work done, but some plans drawn up to see what would be involved in that. So you'd actually really only have 9 seats at the front. So it's 19 feet, not 29 feet, I think.
The history behind this was they didn't want some biker bar coming in, rowdy bar. Anyone that sees this restaurant will know, hey, it's a restaurant that has a bar. It's clearly not a bar. I know we've been there a bunch of times. It's a beautiful space. So, Carl, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say that, are we clear, because there are several steps that are going to start to take place, that this could or could not end in a public hearing?
Oh, this will end in a public hearing, so
Okay,
that everybody will be notified. Anything that goes through zoning, it'll be a public meeting. I think the goal is to get it on the agenda for the 4th of November. If my memory serves me right. It's about a month of going through these processes. But yeah, it'll be a public meeting. Everybody and like I said, I think we'll be prepared with pictures, and you can clearly see that this was not a bar that happens to serve food. It's a restaurant that has a bar.
So in the public meeting, and I'm not clear on this, but maybe, and Randy's not here right now, and we didn't get a chance to talk about this yesterday, but in the public meeting, would that public meeting be confined to just the length of the bar? Or could it open up the whole can of worms again about having a bar there at all?
Well, all it's doing is it's removing some language to it. That's just saying it's now an all-season restaurant, which is basically what every other restaurant would be able to have. It takes away that little kind of niche. Can it open it up? I don't see. I mean, what will either happen is we will not get this text change, and we're back to where we were, and we'd have to figure out what to do with a bar that exceeds 15 feet, or it passes. If they wanted to have anything else, they would have to go and file some form of zoning change. So the zoning allows us to have a bar. That's been established. This is just language about the future.
Or they could or they could try to cause stuff to rescind what was passed a couple of years ago.
Well, that would, I mean, theoretically, they could do that at any time. It couldn't happen at that meeting. The agenda is going to be to vote on this. If for some reason it goes awry and people decide they would then have to file that, and they would go through the same process that we are going through right now. So it wouldn't be in the same meeting they decide to pull it. It'd still have to go through all the levels. Am I right about that, Alan?
I think from a process point of view, I was in talking to Don, we've already sent out, because there's certain timetables, and I think he's in a meeting right now, actually.
I think
But
he just joined us.
they've already sent out registered letters to the 20 people in the houses that are about that. That's already happened. But I think Carl was 100% right in the last meeting we had, is we need to do some type of public relations thing to say, guys, this is not, a 29-foot bar, and everybody's going to be getting drunk and stuff like that. It's a restaurant, okay? And I think one of the issues was noise last year, and even myself, and I live, I heard noise as well myself, and I live relatively close. And we need to let people know this is a restaurant. It's a really nice bar. Golfers like to go to the bar and sit at the bar, and also that you're not going to be having live rock bands 4 nights a week. If you're on the terrace there, maybe having maybe a guitar player or something like that. I think we need to do a bit of PR in the next as the meetings go along.
Correct me if I'm wrong too. Like we're adding a clause to it that states that it needs to be a restaurant, and that clause is not clearly identified today. Correct?
It's not a clause. It's just a word.
Or a wording.
Yeah.
So at that point, if you look at it, if you add this wording into it, aren't we preserving the fact that that this building remains a restaurant with a bar go forward? So doesn't that give people a sense of security that the restaurant will never go away?
Well, I would agree with you in theory, but these are not people that think logically, and that would not be. I mean, the people that will come out against us, and they can and would, perhaps, they don't want anything there. They don't even want a golf course there, let alone a bar and a restaurant. So,
And within that document that was in the minutes, I think it's important when they say staff comments, it also, to alleviate that fear of what you're talking about, Alan, the zoning commission they already have some say in this. We already are bound by serving alcohol up until 11 o'clock. So we can't turn it, you literally, in the regulation, you can't make it at 2 o'clock in the morning, crazy
Right.
bar. So yeah, I agree with you, Alan. I think, I mean, it's a beautiful bar. It actually is what, I mean, the vast majority of golfers have asked me since I've been on it before we even started. This is what the public wanted. And, I think
Right.
people are going to be thrilled with it. So,
But we also need to understand that Don does need the ability to be able to do parties in there as well.
Yeah.
If he wants to do, showers and stuff like that, because that's where, we get money out of that because we get a percentage of the
Yeah.
growth.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
and
in
The
the
more
other,
business he does on the banquets, and that's where he actually makes his money.
well, I will tell you that in the other, I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the other challenges that occurred that I was a part of, the other challenges, and Rand, you were on the board when we had those challenges too. Those challenges weren't about the banquet hall or having parties. They never brought that up. They didn't care because
Okay.
the original plan of building that freaking place was to do exactly that. What their challenges were to the fact that they didn't challenge the restaurant. What they challenged was the fact they did not want a sit-down bar.
right.
That
But
was the challenge. No sit-down bar, because there was some bar stools at the old, what is now the pro shop, at that little bar there. That's why they got moved out. And that's
Yeah.
why the wall went up and some other stuff happened. So the challenge has always been about having a bar there. And
Right, and we've gotten it defined.
That's what I'm afraid that they might
Yeah.
come back and
But
mount their charge again.
None of us, yeah, I mean, we can't predict the future on that. I think we've got it pretty well established. I mean, the language is pretty clear that we can have a bar, even with the existing zoning regulations. This is just saying that we could, make the bar that those extra few feet,
Mhm.
because I mean, especially now you're talking about how many seats, you really can't even predict it. We go
9.
back to social distancing and all these different types of things. So I mean,
But
to
Carl,
me, we're going to go forward with this. This is just to vote on whether we move forward with the application. Where that goes, we could have, we'll know more clearly in the next meeting.
Mhm.
one final thing, Carl, how many restaurants do you go into that have a bar? I mean, most restaurants I go into, unless they're really mom and pop places with 6 tables, they have a bar,
But that's not their, Alan, in all due respect, that's not their question. This
Yeah.
is in their neighborhood. This is in their park, which, like I said, again, they never even want a golf course there. They want it to just be a walking open space.
Got it.
And so their thing that they always hung their hat on, and there was some history with it, but that was a long, long time ago. They don't want a bar.
And I think,
And in the public hearing that we had that Harry chaired, the issue was around a bar, not about a restaurant, a bar.
right, but
I just
right
don't
now, and I
want to
think we've
get
kind of,
anywhere close to that flame. That's my,
I mean, to me, this is and we look at what our job is, best interest of the city at this point, and best interest of the course is to move forward with this change. And if we could fund hurdles, like nobody can predict the future. There might be hurdles, or maybe when it gets in front of them, we're missing something. We just need to, I want to bring it to a vote that we can just move forward with the application. Some of these issues might come up. I haven't heard much of it, and I don't think there's much argument there because of what the language says. But again, we'll get more updates as to what that process looks like once we get this moved forward. But in this specific meeting, I want to get it moved forward, and I think we'll have a better sense of where we stand come a couple weeks from now at our regular meeting. So.
Okay, Mike, I have a question though.
Yep.
Who wrote up the existing conditions? Is this something that we put together, or is this the guy on what's his name, put this together?
Brian Baker is the person in planning. Don, can you answer? I believe we didn't put this language together, did we? This was the existing conditions were in the regulations that already.
You're talking about the
existed.
original language?
Well, the one that's attached, the one that it was the
This
memorandum
here
that I
that we're
checked.
looking at, the memorandum.
Yeah, the existing language has been in there since, I believe, 2003.
Okay, so when you put in the information about a 26-foot long bar, why isn't it broken down to say that it's actually a 19-foot bar and the rest is a service bar, which I think makes a difference, but I mean, it makes a difference to me.
We tried to make that try to have that conversation as well. But it's a very stringent, it's very tightly written in terms of what exactly 15 feet is. And we even said, what if we make one part of it a service bar, one part where we don't even have stools? And they said it doesn't matter, just whatever bar space you have, usable bar space is what counts. It doesn't matter how you set it, or it's how it's built and how much actual length it is on the bar that counts, is the size.
And I went down with, and they wanted to work with us. Brian was very nice.
Seatable
here's
bar
the best way to
space
do
is
it.
essentially.
The best way to do it is just to change the language. That's all, and then you can do what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And I just got off that call. We had a Zoom call that I just had previously with zoning, and they had for that. So I'm a little tired. And it couldn't have gone any better on that call, because even the people on the commission or whatever it is that we just spoke with, to a person, was like, this is pretty archaic language to put in here for a restaurant that has a bar. And they were even saying that they want to avoid this in the future, ever even writing a statute that's like this, because they admitted that it's an archaic statute that was written, how it was written. So that was a really positive.
Yeah,
I took it as a very positive development. So
that's a good update. Thank you. Any other questions before I ask somebody to make a motion? Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the application for a text change to zoning regarding the restaurant?
I'll make a motion.
Jennifer, second.
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 All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No,
And any abstentions?
and for the record, the reason I'll say no is I don't think we've thoroughly discussed or vetted the alternatives that we have, particularly with this entire board.
Okay. Well,
And this will, and I hope I'm wrong, this will lead to a bigger problem than we even think it could be.
Okay. All right, so the motion passes, 7 yeses, 1 no, and 0 abstentions. Thank you. And then the next full meeting will be Thursday, the 21st, as normal, third Thursday of the month. We'll get some updates from Jim. We'll get some updates on where this stands, as well as kind of the close of the season. So last but not least, anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We'll talk in a couple
night.
weeks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
bye, everyone. Guys. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.